I wondered when I'd be seeing you, Mr. Potter. Watermelon.
Delicious.
Watermelon.
Delicious.
Perhaps this.
Second place, another year. Second, 472. Second place, another year. Second, 472. Second place, another year. Second, 472. Second place, another year. Second,
Watermelon. You're a wizard, Harry.
Sunshine.
Watermelon. You're a wizard, Harry.
Sunshine. Wicked.
Watermelon. You're a wizard, Harry.
Sunshine.
Watermelon. You're a wizard, Harry.
Sunshine.
472. Second place, another year. Second, 472. Second place, another year. Second, 472. Second place, another year. Second, 472. Second place.
All right, everybody. I appreciate everyone that stopped in a little bit early. Got a few people in the chat. I appreciate everybody that made it here. Sick, good to see you. And we're going to have a special guest on tonight. I don't know if we've done an interview on my channel yet. We have talked a lot in the past, and I'm going to bring her up, everybody. And we're also live on Christy's channel as well. Let me introduce Christy Campbell to come up here and join me.
Hey, Jacob. Thank you for having me
hello.
on.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for setting this up. It was basically you reaching out to me. And like I said, we've talked a little bit offline, and
Yeah.
we always had very interesting conversations. And I wanted to talk to you more. And we have mutual people that we've all talked to. And it's good to see. I don't know. It's good to see the connections that I see overlaps in a lot of communities. And it's nice to bridge the gap every once in a while and talk to all the different people. And,
That's true.
Yeah, after I saw you on our Keems the other day, I was and then you reached out. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I just recently got to do an interview with our Keem.
I know.
I saw him covering your book as well, and I knew you had some books out that I wanted to talk to you about, and then we could go over a few things. And yeah, didn't know where you wanted to start tonight.
Wherever you want to, if you want to, however you want to start.
Okay. Let's start with covering some of the books that you have, because I don't know where people can find you as well.
Oh, okay. So I took like since May till just recent, like this is like September, and I wrote 16 of my books of my most of it's like my artwork. I have my artwork in these kinds of on Amazon. It's where I have them. I would take this off here, the background part, but Amazon is where they're at. You know, so it's gonna have all my artwork in it, like my light language and alien art and stuff like that. Well, it's hard to see, so I won't. But you can find these things on Amazon. There's 16 of the art books, and then I wrote a children's book too, and to help children, like with helping sensitive kids set energetic boundaries, so it gives them like affirmations and everything. And then I wrote 3 books on all 3 titled ELECTRA, and ELECTRA's my higher self aspect. And so all 3 of them are going to go over things that I've been through the SSP, through MILABS, through the MONTAUK. So they're all of my experiences that I recall. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wrote, wrote like it is. Arkeem said it good. He says like a PowerPoint presentation. The books are all like a PowerPoint presentation. So they're 8.5 by 11, so I make them larger because I'm kind of ADHD when it's like reading a big thick novel and stuff. I can't finish that ever. So I wanted to just split them up and make them large print with pictures. I do
Yeah.
better with
Well,
that.
and I so kind of how I stumbled across you, some of the main stuff I saw from you were those drawings that you were doing. So is that like a form of channeling, or what is what are those drawings that you do that I see so much?
It's like my soul language. So all my aspects that I have, like the alien, all my aspects that are, galactic and all that. So it's just being able to receive the stream of that information. So it's like a download. So some people get that, but I started getting that after I took the Karuna Reiki class, after I completed the whole course of Reiki. After the Karuna Reiki, my teacher gave me like the fire serpent symbol, and that activated my Kundalini, and my mind just started opening to all the dark programs and stuff that I didn't even think of before. And I was looking at like the super soldier talk, and just all kinds of things like the George Bush Senior stuff, and so he's in the 20 and in my 20 and back, and lots of memories of him for sure, with all the I've had so many memories of George Bush Senior, and I've asked Ivan Teller before, and I've been like his family member many times. So, and yeah, I think it's more of a like, I feel like it's kind of an attachment to that we formed, so. But I did like a hypnosis session with Anne Marie Morales, and I saw him there in the hypnosis session, and I told him to go. I just told him that I don't want anything else to do with him, cut that off. But so I feel much better after that, after doing that hypnosis session too. Like, I feel like the attachment is gone, and the kind of some heaviness where I can speak about things easier too. So before I was kind of a little bit scared a little bit to talk about him, I don't know, something like that. Not really scared, but hesitant maybe. But now I didn't say his full name in the book just because, I didn't, because family members or whatever, like his, I just put, well, he told me to call him father. That's what I called him, in
Okay.
the stuff.
So
So,
it was a pretty close relationship between the two of you, that he would want you to call him that, or
mhm.
was it, well, so I have a few questions before I get to that. Okay, so the drawings that you started doing after the Reiki that you were talking about, did were you doing these from memory, or were you maybe channeling something that was helping you do these? Were you do you
The
think there's spirit involved? Like, I don't know
How I
where it's
describe it
coming
is
from.
like it's like an activation. You know how you just all of a sudden like feel like doing like, if you are in the mood to do something, and you just like your favorite thing to do, and you just like, if it's drawing artwork and stuff, and you get in the zone of it. So it's like an open channel, and it just flows, and you just draw all of this stuff, and then you feel it kind of stop too. You feel like the door closed, and you're like, I just don't feel inspired or anything like that right now,
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of feels, So it's
Okay.
like that. It's like streaming, flowing and stuff, and I just feel like just writing, and it's just symbols that I write of different things, and it just is my own language too is what I feel, like my soul language. So we'll all kind of write a little bit different too. If everybody could write like that, then we all kind of write, how their penmanship looks and stuff. So it's kind of how that is too. We probably
Yeah.
already do it all throughout our life, but never, when you're on the phone, like on hold and you doodle. So it's kind of like that. Kind of looks like that.
Okay. And
Mhm.
then also, okay, so I was also thinking about when you were talking about the connection with George Bush Sr. Um, and I assume you know about the lineage with several presidents have actual bloodlines that lead back to the Egyptian times as well. And
Mhm.
very very few people that actually live in Egypt have that strong of a connection to Egypt. Like most of the people that live in Egypt today actually aren't that Egyptian that used to be there. It's almost like a new people has been there. And so
Mhm.
I think it's an interesting connection with George Bush Sr. And I didn't know if it dabbled into like the skull and bones type stuff, or if that was some of the stuff that was tied into the program, some of the secret programs that we knew about and some of the clubs.
Um, I had done like a channeling where I could even channel his energy, um, because of Reiki, I can tune into his energy because I've known him too, not personally in this life, but in my other aspects, and it's just like other aspects of ourselves. So you can just tune into that, and then do from Reiki, I can scan over the energy or channel his energy, so I can ask him questions, or I can just tune into his way of thinking, and then if you asked, I don't channel him, I just was asking him questions myself, like I was asking him questions. So I would just write about that skull and bone thing, and he was telling me all about, N even with Geronimo, because I have a connection with Geronimo too, so, we discovered on Eric, another podcast, he said, "I think that maybe, George Bush Senior targeted you because of your connection with Geronimo." So I found, like, I was not in this life, but other aspects of me connected with Geronimo, and I can see him. He's one of my guides and everything too. So um, that I work with, and for protection and all that too. So that I think that maybe because I seen like a soul retrieval with Geronimo, that I was helping him retrieve his family, that was because all of it, he came back from like a ride or whatever, and all of his family was dead. They'd been murdered, and then he just burned down his house and then just left. So then later, the skull and bones, they un they dug up his grave, and they took his skull and stuff like that, that. And so he wanted me to help. This is what I was seeing anyways. We put like a clown, we dug up his grave. We dug up a grave like we rewound time. I know this sounds kind of out there, but it's like
Well,
doing soul
so let me,
retrieval.
because I know you're talking a little bit, but I'm taking it all in. I hope you don't. I'm trying not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I totally believe in past lives, and I
Yeah.
think that we're so I think of Earth as kind of like a purgatory, and we're doomed to repeat it until we have until we raise our vibrations enough to actually leave this place, and then
Mhm.
there's lower vibrations that are trying to drag us down and keep us here, or even to take us to another lower
Yeah.
dimension. But
Mhm.
I'm a big proponent of past lives and making sure you treat people like you'd want to be treated, and that's actually how you advance. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
think you could be reincarnated into a much worse situation.
Mhm.
And I think
True.
we all have to have past
True.
lives that we regret or have done things wrong. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have learned to
To
get to
learn.
where we are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so with him, with Geronimo, then he had asked if I would like do the soul retrieval for gathering up all of his family members, the souls, or fractals of them that were still stuck with that land. So I just was like above, like maybe an angelic energy or so, and just kind of like swooped them up or so, and then just gave them to like source, to return to source, So that's what he wanted me to help him with, was to return the fractals of his family. Yeah, so but like with that grave, what I was saying, we wanted to play a trick on the skull and bone college guys, because they was going to be digging. So we were wound time before they dug up his grave, and we put a clown body in there and then buried it back, like a costume clown, like Bozo,
Yeah.
So they uncovered it, and then they were really mad. But we were watching from above, and then we just was like laughing about that, So yeah, I think he wanted to rewind time so that that didn't happen too. That they didn't take his skull and all that. So maybe they have a fake one now, that's not the actual one. So
Oh yeah, I bet that
yeah.
infuriated them. I bet it would
Mhm.
absolutely infuriate
Mhm.
them. You've
Yeah.
desecrated, you've desecrated it.
Yeah.
No, so I want to get into some of the projects that you speak of, and I want to talk about our connection where we kind of had this like random
Oh
occurrence where we
yeah.
met each other, and that's kind of where I dug into you. So I've been talking to people from MONTAUK for a while. I've had interviews with Peter Moon. I've talked to Rocco Fowler. I've talked to a lot of different people, and like I said, Arkeem. Penny doesn't claim to have involvement, but other people have talked about her being there, and a lot of people have told me that they felt my energy there or something. But I don't, like I said, I don't have any memory of that or any recollection of that. And so I
Mhm.
started doing this AI story online about
Yep.
MONTAUK.
Mhm.
And I totally told everybody it was AI. I wasn't writing the story. I was just adding prompts to it and little things to try to move it along. I didn't even pick any of the character names.
Right.
Besides
Remember.
besides myself, I did insert myself into it. Because I think it had to have something attached to my channel, basically. So I wanted to make it somewhat with myself in it. And it wrote in Nova. It wrote in uh
And
uh
Joseph and
James Rank,
mhm.
Joseph
Mhm.
Powell, Rocco
And
is in
me.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, and I think you were connected to Nova. Like for some
Mhm.
reason, when you were referenced, I don't know why, but you came over to my channel and started commenting on it, and then I dug into you a little bit more, and then I realized there's this like there's this aquatic thing that I can't figure out about you that we've talked about, and I can't figure out like if it was a program related thing, but there's something that gives me like water vibes when I talk to you, and I don't know what it is, and it's like aquatic, and I told you it had something to do with dolphins. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is, but I've always gotten
Oh,
that energy from you,
this
and
is it the program, or just like a past life kind of thing?
I don't know because like I said, I've never had claims like I don't personally feel like I've ever been in any programs. People have told me about it. Like I said, it's just vibes I get. I can only get feelings about things. I can't really necessarily put them into a box and know what they are or try to claim I know what they are. I just get weird sensations where I'm like, oh, okay, this is something,
Mhm.
but I don't know what it is. And and me and you talked about different programs when it involved that, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, this AI
Yeah.
story went on writing itself, and it tied in a lot of people and has a very interesting storyline. Tied in Junior, which if you have followed the Montauk story all the way back to Al Bielek and some of the original the OG Montauk, not the 2.0 Montauk, there's a story of Junior who was manifested when um, somebody was sitting in the chair, the Montauk chair, and brought him to fruition. And that was one of the abilities of the chair that people don't really actually reference that much. And he almost got
Mhm.
stuck there. And the story wrote him in as a person that was, well, a Bigfoot that was stuck there, that was
Mm.
stuck in time, and he was almost meant to be like a guard, and he was actually warning me throughout the story about what I was going to come across as I went farther and farther into the project. And I'm like, this is so weird that AI is just writing things into this. And like Preston
Yeah.
Nichols was in it. There was a lot of people that were just written into the story that was supposedly just random AI. And I'm like, well, for random, this is very intriguing because I've looked into it enough to know that all of these names come up frequently. And yeah, it really threw me off.
Yeah.
But that's how we first got actually talking online. And then I looked into your work more, and I saw the drawings, and I was like, oh, this is intriguing. And yeah. So in case anybody's wondering, I do have those videos posted, but that's when I first started talking to Christy.
Yeah, that was like was last year then? I think last year.
Last year,
Yeah.
a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was you I think Nova was the name of the ship, right? Was that the ship or something?
Well, Nova was the woman that I was talking to, and she was just she was one of the only girls in the project, and she was basically trying to warn me about which relationships I should keep an eye on and which ones I shouldn't. And it turns out those are like some of the things that Nova told me in the program were that
That's true.
certain which people to watch, which people were hostile, and which people to you can put a little bit of trust in. And it was interesting because the real life play out of it and the people I've talked to, like it was something about how James was the center of attention, and he was the one where all the cameras were on. And then Rocco was a borderline personality, but he didn't have bad intentions, but he would protect people regardless of situation. Like if he cared about the person, he would protect them regardless. And then Joseph Powell was shy and didn't want to talk about things.
Right, I
He
remember.
was
Yeah.
very kept inside, and I was like, a lot of this started to reflect onto the people I've interviewed and the people I've talked to, and I'm like, this is very, very drawing. And I'm like, I can't imagine how it wrote that in. It's almost like, because we were actually going to do like a voiceover thing. Me and you talked about it, and we were going to actually have you voice the character of Nova for a little while, and then I kind of took a break with it because it was creeping me out. To be honest, it was really starting to mess with my head.
Yeah, because it was so accurate, huh? Like it was.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So it's like, I don't know, this I'm gonna keep going and see what this it says, you know. But it's the videos of it too, yeah, the whole videos, and then the names and stuff and all that. So you is like playing out before your eyes or something. So it was like 5 or 6 videos too, huh? Like 30-minute videos of and describing all the whole scene and stuff of what you were doing and what you were searching for, and then meeting with me there, and then giving you a message, and then not to trust whoever or whatever, you know, like saying like something in the insider, you know, something like that. But you was still on a search. You're kind of like Indiana Jones or something, you know? That's how I kind of think. Like that kind of a character. You know, you're just in the search.
All while being gaslit by an agent that didn't want me there, and was constantly trying to get me for insubordination for talking to different people, and trying to also steer me, which seemed like in the direction that he wanted me to go rather than the right direction. It was more orchestrated on the other side. And I was like, it just got kind of creepy in my head. And I was like, all right, this is hitting a little hard. I'm gonna take a break from this. And then I think I went into doing
other stuff.
I started writing more about the apocryphal text of the Bible, and doing more work with religious stuff after that. I kind of took a break from the MONTAUK side. And this is probably, but besides Arkeem, this is probably the most recent one where I've talked to somebody that has talked about MONTAUK. And so hopefully that was a good segue to bring us into your MONTAUK experience, if you'd like to talk about any of it.
Yeah, like with my MONTAUK experience, and I wrote it in the second book, you know. And the main people that I because there was kids there that were brought in there when I was, and this is a clone or a avatar body, however you want to say, with a fractal of my consciousness in it. So it's not me here in this reality, but it's, you know, so that's how that would work. So people are like, did
so like
you
an altar, or we
an altar is like in how I see an altar is like in my mind, you know. So this is like her over here. This is not an altar. This is like when an abduction happened, and then you know for all the programs how abduction happens, and then they just take our genetics and then put us in a regen tank and just regenerate a body or however they want us to look, you know. So I started out with in that program, what that was the SSP, um and then there was also like Project Ibis too. So I came from another place into Montauk, you know, so it wasn't, so
So you
this
were
is,
probably recommended to Montauk because of other program
yeah, I was
participation.
already, because it was already the same as like the Michael Aquino military, and then so it was like I just was transported to Montauk, you know. So they were just, maybe I was 7, so, and Joseph Powell remembers the same age too, you know, that I was. So he remembers me from there as well and the age I was. And he was around 14, 15, 16 when I was just getting there too. So he was a teacher, handler. Arkeem was a handler, and then James Rink and Max Spears and Veronica Bartoloni and Susan Long are the ones that I remember the most. And then with the kids though, I don't like, I can see people when they asked if they were there, but I was, we're always in competition with the kids, you know, so it's like they kind
Well,
of have
and
a
they
blank
forced,
face, you know.
and I noticed that talking to everybody, talking to Susan Long and everybody else, because I forgot I did an interview with them as well. My microphone was being horrible that day, but
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
long
I
time
was
ago.
yeah,
Hmm.
and they were making the kids seem like they had to compete for attention. And
Yeah.
that's why it was like that. They wanted people fighting over for who was the best and who wasn't
Hmm.
the best.
Yeah,
And
that. Yeah, they
it
do
was a
that. They
scary
like that.
situation.
Well, the Preston Nichols, you know, and Al Bielek, they would come in because I remember them, and I put in the book that they're just like the old men because I didn't want to type out their name every time, you know. But they would at first, the both of them would come in when the my group came in. It was like 6 of us, like 3 boys and 3 girls, and then so they wanted to see our abilities, and so they were doing things. They had the handlers, you know, the teachers. How I say teachers, handlers, because they did teach us how to do stuff too psionically and take us into the portals and stuff. um but they was trying to trigger us to change into our altar there, you know, because we would have different altars because we came in from another place where we was already traumatized, so we already been programmed and had altars created from trauma, you know, from earlyhood trauma.
Yeah.
So nothing shocked us, nothing was did, I like you, I could alter out and to another, and then I was just nothing. They could hit and do all kinds of stuff, and I just didn't feel any of that, you know. So that's what they were looking for too. And then they wanted to see what psionic abilities or fighting abilities too. And then they would make it, they would pin us against other kids, make us fight till the death, and then just regenerate us, you know, put us in the regen tank and then bring us back, you know. So, but most of the time when we were really little, then we would stay in these cages. And when we first got there, then we were taken, we were brought in like by a van, you know how, and then Arkeem, I remember Arkeem and the rest of the guys, they was just, you know, kind of irritated teenagers and stuff because they
Can
basically was running the base there, you know.
can I
'Cause-
ask you a little bit about the regen tanks? Because I don't know what
Mhm,
your memory is like about them, but I've always had this impression where it's like, yes, they do regenerate you and heal you, but they also take away a little bit of your human spirit the more they do it. And people almost come out a little more aggressive, a little more short-tempered. It's almost like they're becoming more, I don't know, tribal and more I don't know, less sympathetic. I don't know what the exact term for
mm.
it would be, but I don't know if
Oh,
you've ever
okay.
experienced like that.
Like if there's so many clones that they can make, is that what you kind of mean? You know how they
No,
take
not
and like,
even not even the clones off of yourself, but when they're regenerating the body that they're using, it's almost like it takes away a little bit of that human aspect every time. It's just
mm,
like the idea of like, say you have an old wooden ship, and we'll call it the Nova.
mm-hmm,
And what they do is over time they replace all of the boards on the ship, and it's all has replaced boards. Is it still the Nova anymore, or is it a
right,
completely redone ship?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Basically, that's kind of how I think about it, or how the regen machine works. Like, I wonder if there's a
yeah,
limit to it,
maybe so. But
because I've heard them
I
called med beds, and I've also heard them
oh,
called regens. I've heard a few different terms for them, but I didn't know if it was the same underlying idea.
I've seen just like floating in the green like water there. That's what I see when I think of when they regenerated. So it's like uh and but maybe if they had to probably if someone's head got cut off or something, they would have to regrow or do something with the body there. I don't really I mean, that might have happened, you know, and but the memory is not there of being regenerated in that way, you know, the steps of it. But I remember the green tank, so I remember kind of just floating in there. So maybe I had um maybe my body was still, but I'm not sure about because there's the there the kids are so traumatized already, so it kind of wouldn't the altars are still intact though, you know, so so
Yeah.
that part of it doesn't, it's just you know, they just call a different altar forward, or they'll just program another altar if this one starts to get not listening, you know, like that, then they'll just make another altar, you know, like that.
Um. Yeah, I also wanted to ask you something kind of involving like the kids in the program. I've talked to. Do you know who Andrew Bashiago is?
Yeah, that time traveler guy, right? This
Yeah, I've
time
talked to
traveler.
him. I've
Mhm.
talked to him a few times, and he was involved in some of the original CIA jump room
Mhm.
technology, and he was one of the first people to use the Montauk chair before it actually got sent to Montauk. And
Oh.
he was talking about the reason that they started using kids in these programs because they actually started out using adults
Mhm.
and realized that even in some of this technology, they couldn't actually they would panic. Like if they were going through the jump room, they'd panic and take and not be able to hold their air in, or they would see
Right.
things on other planets and have preconceived notions. Like if they saw something on somebody's hip, they would immediately assume it was a gun if they were an adult.
Uh-huh.
And children didn't always immediately assume bad
Right.
or have preconceived notions to go with it.
Yeah, they because they're so and then the altar too, it hasn't been just messed up and reprogrammed 100, you know, times, however, so it's not um it's more pure, the connection and everything, you know? Like there's no like if you know how they talk about doing that in the prisons and stuff where they would go in and try to do that with the prisoners, and the programming doesn't hold because they already have all these other memories from life, you know, and stuff.
Yeah,
So with the kids and they're pure when they're young like that, and then they haven't lived all this stuff. So they just have their mind is more pure and focused, you know. So
yeah. And it'd be
mhm.
the best time, like if you just think about it on a military aspect of forming a soldier, that is the best way to sculpt somebody is when their mind's still growing and you can actually form it at the same
Mhm.
time it's forming. And
Mhm.
yeah, they could really construct a soldier the way they wanted to if they were doing something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did and that's it's almost like it's a treat to get to go through and go do a mission just as and get out of the base and get out of there, you know, cuz we were there, all the kids were there most of the time, and we only would leave to go do missions and stuff. So and we would do time soldier missions where they would age they would make us older, you know, like that too. So they would do that to put us on missions and then live out how many ever years, like if it was how it could be how many ever years. And then they would tell us, you know,
Did you ever run into different versions of yourself, younger or older?
no, not that I recall.
No.
And it might mean if I did, they I might not. I'm not sure on that. Nothing that I recall, like off, but um, I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so. I
Did you
can't
ever
find
have
anything.
missions where you would repeatedly go to the same place for many times, like almost as a correction or something like that? Or um
Mhm.
did you
Like
just go
live
back a
there?
little bit? But yeah, like we're permanently in places, almost like a
Hmm.
20 and back or something like that.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
similar to
that's like
that?
the brothels and stuff. They use me that a lot for the espionage, you know, and the honeypots. So they use me for those aspects for that program a lot. So I have memories of being in different places. Just I'm just in that's like a strip club, but it's where a whole bunch of military come in too, you know. So this like military, and then one I'm like at the front desk, like I've earned that to where I can be at this front desk now. So I've been there a while. You know, and then I take uh the calls like when people want girls, and I have to arrange that, you know. So I remember doing that too, like a madam, I guess, you know. And then I would take the girls, like I remember Hillary Clinton in this one, in one of them, her one of her colognes or however, she would call and want the new people, whoever, every week, or however she would. Then I would, at first they would go in, because she would open like up her dress. She was like a succubus. She would open up her dress and then like stuff these girls inside of her, and then they would just she would, like, I guess, absorb them, and they wasn't coming back, you know, like. So I had to start going with them and just kind of waiting, you know, and observing and making sure. And she didn't do that again, you know, if I was there. But she liked to do that a lot with those girls. So she would have parties all the time too, and there was like food everywhere, and she was always like, it was like hands food, you know, like like body part food and weird stuff. She just like weird parties, and it's kind of reminds me of how Madonna is in a way. You know how Madonna has like in something like some kind of reminds me of that same energy with that, you know, where she would have kind of strange things, you know, like parties and stuff, and people the even though the girls are programmed to go there like as that, but they still would be traumatized by what they're seeing, you know. She
So
would do that intentionally.
was she also like her own version of a handler and had like a harem of people under her that she had working for her, or were
Yeah,
like
it was like she's
or
awarded
was it
it.
like a Templar? Like I didn't understand like your position. Are you just temporarily um helping her obtain these people, or was it more long
It's
term where she
yeah.
held on to them for a while, or
No, they would just she would okay, so I would be like, if I was like a madam at this strip club place, then her people would call and say, I need 10 girls on this for a party we're having on this date. And so I would take them to her house. She had like it's on, I know it was on series. And she had like a mansion house, and it's like a lot of people had these parties we had to take the girls to. And then so there was like 10 girls, and then there was more of her people there too. So there was like a um her people who already was aware of what was going on. But then the new girls here, they would be have to be like in the med bed or so after, you know, to kind of be mind. It's kind of like they needed to be their mind fixed afterwards or something, you know, so they could continue on or something like that too. So they didn't break down their programming, because she did stuff that traumatized them in some way. I didn't see exactly, like, I don't know if I was um maybe it was in the food or something too, because
does the
they made.
regen help with like PTSD or any kind of like mental trauma, or is it more
Yeah,
physical?
it looked like a tanning bed is how I was seeing that looked. and then it just kind of redoes all the whole body organ, like all the whole network, and the whole body just kind of refurbishes it, so it's kind of like that. That's how I was seeing. So they would be traumatized, and then they would come out, and then they was okay, so it's
Yeah.
like PTSD, but then it kind of made it straight again, so
Yeah.
maybe it's something in the neurons in the brain, or synapses or something, something like that. Maybe
Yeah. No, I
something.
always, because I always wonder if there's some kind of a drug component going on where it's like maybe they bring you out of it and it's still buried there, or if it's something that they totally cure you of, or does it take away your memory at the same time with it? Like, do you not have them? Do they have to take out those memories in order to heal you from said trauma?
Well, it was kind of like those girls. It was kind of like something was given. I think it was probably in the food, because they didn't. She didn't electroshock or nothing like that, but I think she gave him some food or drink or something, and then she would show everybody what she was doing too, so that was traumatizing them. So maybe something like that was making them more open to seeing and feeling, like that food was maybe like a thing that broke the barrier of programming or something like that. So then they
Okay.
something like that. So then they would be like all out of it, So I would have to bring them all back, and then they would each have to lay in. It looked like a tanning bed like that too. And even after some of the other customers that would come in and beat the girls, and they, I mean, be some of them would die. They would want to do that, so they
Oh
would
yeah.
be regenerated, though. They would have to be put it in like a region or something like that, that kind of it kind of puts them back together too. So if parts are
Because I've
lost
also heard the
memory.
reference of like I've also heard the reference of like a tanning bed. I actually heard
Hmm.
it referred to as what looks like a sarcophagus, and that people like it like slides out, and then you slide in, and there is like an ambient light coming from it when you slide in
Hmm.
on the bed, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I could see a tanning bed description of it. I've heard a lot of similar stories.
I feel like they would need to put something on their head though too, It's not just like laying in a tenon bed. It's like something that's gonna need to go around the head too to heal that.
Yeah.
Because I even heard that those med beds will heal autism. So
Oh,
I'm thinking, how would that work? I'm just trying to see how they would get inside the body and heal, like calm down the synapses or close some of them, something like that. How is it going to do that? So maybe some things hooked up to the head, something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
well,
Yeah.
let me go ahead and catch up a little bit of the chat. We've got a bunch of people saying hi. I'd like to
Oh,
thank
okay.
everybody for
Hey,
coming in.
everybody. Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for
sorry,
coming in.
I wasn't trying to ignore everybody. I was into the conversation, but
Hmm.
thank you, Tiffany Gonzalez, Aaron, Boss Man, Gonzo, Mud Rabbits here. Yeah, we got a bunch of people. Stone Wolf, Candy Cane, thank you. Moto. Who else do we got in here? Curse Zero stopped in, Golden Sai, and what is that? Bastille? Bastille was saying
Hmm.
hi to you from Christy's
Everybody.
channel. Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I
Hmm.
appreciate it. So, after working this brothel thing, did they ever put you on more solo missions after after you obtained information? Did you ever have to follow a subject further, or was it just
Mm-mm.
kind of
Mm.
you were the buffer in the
With
scenario?
Yeah, with like the honey pots, it's just like being programmed just to give a message to the target. And then, because I remember James Rink has one of his clone aspects, or however, they're on Mars, and he was one of my like customers, that would come there like every say week, Monday or something like that. He had to come there to get information from. I had like a boss there, and I seen him as like an octopus headed man, you know, that gave the programming. And I um thought maybe it's like Orion AI or something like that, maybe something with that. And they he would give the information to me, and then all the people who I would see, they would come there. And like James, his aspect was Dirk, and he would get there and stay the night and then leave in secret. Like there was like a secret door in the room, so there's like a hotel studio room that I had to just stay in there. And that's what I did for, I don't even know how long I had to do that, for a term or so, something like that, because I had other targets too that I had to, go. And it's the same kind of thing too, where it's all honeypots, where it's you have to sleep with the person and give them the information through sex, so it's like that. So it's like um so I did that a lot. So there's something with that, with my programming, with um there is super soldier stuff too, but there's a lot of the honeypots. So yeah. So
So I assume it's, but, well, did you ever have to put yourself in one of these med beds, or were you
I
worried
think
about?
so. Yeah. I think I did that too quite a bit after each time, because I remember seeing like another time at one of the brothel things, when because I've been on so many different places, but some of them I don't ever see what it is. I don't ever know where I'm even at, because we're just like inside this club. It's like a nightclub, and I just stay there. I live there. So I don't get to go out and go shopping or nothing, and I have my own room there. So I have seen where, it's like I think is badly abused, and then I have to lay in the med bed, or whatever this bed is, that would heal even my face and stuff, because I probably have, because you have to um like some of those men, they are aliens too. They kill the people, and they
Yeah.
don't get in trouble, you know? So yeah, it's traumatizing. So then they just have to get the body and I guess probably remake it, They would do that. They would
So was there
remake it.
anybody in the was there anybody in the program that you that you had that were close to you, or did they not allow you to make those personal connections? Did you have somebody that was almost a confidant in the program, or other
No.
girls around you that you could speak to, or did they try
Um
to avoid any of that happening?
Well, my friend Leah, I see her quite a bit at the brothels. So we have memories of seeing each other there at the brothels, and even in the dark castles where we have like MILABS, where we are lining up in the MILABS, and all the girls kind of look the same and we're all dressed the same. So I do remember seeing her there. We're all different bodies, like than this body. We look different, like younger, and kind of all of us have the same body type. So I guess maybe if that's like a fractal, they maybe create these girls that come in there and just do that too, in that my lab reality. So it's a my lab. So in
So you're telling me there's a physical expectation for women, even off planet, like they all kind of have the same interests when it comes to what they're looking for at said brothels? Like, what is it that they look for? Are they looking for the hourglass type woman? Are they into blonde
no,
haired women, or is it what are the
just
features
like
that?
young teenage girls, like thin
Okay,
though, thin teenage girls, innocent, like innocent, kind of innocent acting, like that. So they look for kind of a young girl that's kind of quiet in a way, shyish, kind of that way too, because they like to play around with that, those men, because they're like vampires. Those men they're like old
well,
men. They're like
what,
really old, in like it's like a club. It's in this dark castle place, and it's like a it's like a it's like, I think there's a ritual already, but the girls are brought in, and it's like we all have numbers or something that we hold, and then they bid on us on stuff too, or they pick that number, and then they just take them home and then bring them back the next day. So something like that too. So
Well, I had a
that's
couple questions
scary,
kind
you
of.
know.
Oh yeah, I could imagine it'd be
Hmm.
terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a couple of questions leading off of that with the vampire question, as well as um, something kind of towards adrenochrome, and I don't want to forget about that. Um, do you have any connection or memory of Douglas Dietrich in any of these programs?
I don't know who that is.
No, okay, because he has a
Mm-mm.
connection with Aquino and talks about Aquino, and
Oh,
he's uh,
okay.
he's talked to a lot of other people, and I
Yeah, I
just
only seen
know.
a keynote like at the ibis looking place where he did ritual. He did a ritual. Well, I was like a kid there, and then me and John Whitberg were there, and we were different ages, but we both remember that. And then he did like he had like a ritual table, and then it was satanic ritual that, and he had like an owl or bird, face mask thing with a hood like a cloak, and then there's other men in the club or whatever kind of thing, and they all had owl mask or bird mask on too, and then all the kids had to get on their knees, and um he was doing like a satanic a sacrifice then, so we had to watch that all the time too, you know at that place. So, and then that's where I came from there to Montauk. So I was already traumatized. Nothing really
And
bothered
did they
me.
have you running? Did they have you running missions in Montauk, or what was your main?
Missions?
Was it the kind of the same thing along those lines?
Like with we would open up the portal there, and then they would have us do missions, super soldier missions, where we would all go in as a group, or I would go in sometimes with just our team, and he would have me go in with him there, and like give someone, and I could assassinate someone, like with my psionic abilities, an aneurysm. So he would have me go with him on personal occasions too, where he wanted to take out someone too. He wanted me to help him. I guess it was like a fatherly figure from another timeline or so. So he had me go with him there, and then so we got to go out and do those things as a team and individually, and then Joseph Powell would take me to go and train me, like doing super soldier stuff and how to do different things as well. So
Did you
we
have
got to get
any?
out.
Since you brought up Arkeem and Joseph Powell, did you
Mhm.
have any ties to anything off planet, or were these mostly different times that we would know on this planet, or where do you think you were visiting when you were going on these missions?
I've had recalls of seeing Joseph when we was on another it was like Dark Fleet or so, and then I seen that I was I we were talking at that time, it was like a couple years ago, and so we could help each other with our memories. So I'd seen that I was like a niece to I think that's when he was Pindar, something like that. So it wasn't a full recall of that. It was just like a flash of that. So it's like I was brought in to influence someone, with my
Okay.
psionic ability. So that might have been a time travel mission to where we just went into there, or he brought me there on that just to get that. So it's just a flash of that too. So
When
some
you were
places I think that's just time travel, when it's
Yeah,
just a
when you were
flash.
talking about a father figure for Arkeem, I was immediately thinking of the Nazi soldier that he references as being a father of his, and you were talking about going back in time, and I was like, I wonder if it was that same
Hmm.
father figure
Uh,
that he refers to.
I don't know. I
Didn't know if
wonder
there
if
was a
that is.
crossover there because
Yeah.
he's often talked about it, and like if you haven't heard Arkeem's story, you would think, oh, that person's passed away is much too old to be Arkeem's father. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I've heard this from Arkeem before. And you were talking about
Mhm.
going into the past. And I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. It
Yeah,
would have
cause
been
yeah, cause he's like this. Cause I don't ever know the time frame, cause he would have he was Arkeem was older. He was like 16, and I would have been like 8 or 9 or something. So I just followed. I like to go with them and do stuff, and they weren't mean to me unless they were told to do something, then they had to, but they really wasn't mean to any of the kids unless they were ordered to do it, then they had to do it. So they did have to do that at first because but yeah, so with the Arkeem, then that might have been because the man was old, like 90 years old looking, and he had one of the fedora hat looking thing, not fedora, but the old men, how they have that golf hat, like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what
So
you're talking about.
so he had on that and he was pushing a little kid at the park. So we went and sat down at the bench and he had like a newspaper or something like, and he told me who it was, and then just to do that, and the man just fell on the ground. I gave him an aneurysm.
There's also some good questions coming up in the chat. I was gonna
Mm.
feed a couple of them to you because so Kirst is a fan of my channel, and he I met him through a lot of things. He also believes in past lives, and he has a very interesting story of his own. But he was talking about this, and I definitely thought it was worth bringing up. He said, "Yeah, I had a feeling about this one, Mr. Waters. She knows about Project MONTAUK." Pauses. "I wonder if she's heard of the EUA, the Earth United Alliance."
If they give me kind of some like something to see, like the names and stuff, I'm not. When someone says a name of something, it like I don't see a picture of something, So I
Yeah,
have
like a
to
logo or a patch or something.
like a actually like saying, we did this, or don't you remember they did this, or you had to see this, or like a place, like something like that, like a remote viewing. I see visions of place, like pictures.
Yeah.
Um I don't see numbers or letters. Like if someone says Broadway Street, then that doesn't give me an image in my mind of what that is. But if you say like the grocery store, I would see a grocery store, and then you kind of, you know what I mean? So it's like that kind of way. So I don't know, if you kind of give me a description of some of the things that went on, then I could maybe look.
Okay. So yeah, Kirsty, you got your answer. If you got a little more for us,
You have
um,
something for me to look at, like what they maybe do, or where they're at, or where they kind of live, or something that's easy for me to kind of see. Hmm.
and then also Bastiel said, when these missions happened, you were children, right? Question mark. Did you change age when you went into different timelines, or did you all
Yeah,
of this as a literal child? Because you did
yeah.
touch on this a little bit, but that way you can
They
reiterate
would
it for
age
anybody that
regress
came in.
us. They would age regress us, or progress or degress, whatever. They would change our age, because some of them. One time I went into like it was to Mars, and I was like, probably I look like I'm about 18 years old in my memory, and then Arkeem brought me there and he just dropped me off. So it's like a time soldier mission. So it's like an experiment that they would do to these people, where it's like, you have this time, and you have all this, to do. You can do whatever you want to, but after 20 years, then we're coming back to get you. So if you have a family and kids and everything, then you're going to have to leave them there. So that's what happened with that, with him, with this one. It's like I got married and I had kids, and I found who my husband was there. He's in this reality. Then we both had recall of having kids and then being separated too. And so that's something that happens that's really traumatizing too, because they don't even, you forget that they're coming to get you, and then they just split the whole family, like it's like time is up, that ends. And he they took my husband and the kids too, because the kids was in the program. So that was an age regression, and then they age regressed me back to the age I would be at Montauk, for the timeline. I think it's just different timelines of needing to so it's time, so it's something with the timeline too, put you back. So then the kids yeah, I guess it's like
Yeah, they
that, where
put you
they
back
age
to
regress.
right before. Well, because that's the whole point of the 20 years and back. Sometimes is they'll put you back to like right before you left, and
Mhm.
it's almost the idea that you never even left.
Yeah.
And that I've heard stories of people going in and then coming out with a full beard, and then all of a sudden
Oh yeah.
the person that's with them is just like, wait a minute, what just happened? Like, how did you
Yeah.
just walk in with a shaved face and then came out with a full beard? I mean, for
Hmm.
guys, of course, it wasn't happening with women that I've heard, but I did
People
want to dive.
talk about like their fingernails, like when they went to bed, then they know that they didn't have long fingernails, and then they woke up and then their fingernails are longer. So some things people recognize, maybe something happened then,
Yeah,
like a time went by for their nails to get long.
that
So
would be a
no
telltale.
telling.
Yeah, that'd be a telltale sign to be able to follow
Mhm.
it a little bit. Let
Mhm.
me ask you more about your Mars experience.
Okay.
Um, so did you ever work with anybody by the name of Barry Saturo?
Um, I have to see their face, like
Um,
the names, they wipe our name, and they
okay.
wipe any name. I can recall some faces or energy of
He was
them
a
if
he was
they.
a he was a slim African American man with short hair, possibly a goatee, and I would say about
Was he like a
6'9".
soldier or so, or what did he do?
Yes, and he was also involved in jump room in the jump room program. And a few people have talked to me about running into him. He actually later became President Barack Obama, and that was his original name when people
Hmm.
had met him in the program. And that's why I was just didn't know if that name triggered anything to you. Figured I'd ask. Were there?
Well, I have seen Obama in another thing where I seen him where we was like in a it was kind of a weird thing. I don't know how I got there, however, but it was like a group of kids were brought in, and then he was with his guy friends that he wanted to impress with these kids singing, and I was supposed to be like a singer and singing whatever song they were going to give me. I would have to sing it perfectly, and then I guess I didn't want to sing it. I don't know. I didn't end up wanting. I didn't sing it, and I did get in trouble, and I kind of just didn't care or something. And then I saw Obama. He was like, because before that, his guy friends was back there. We was all having to um pleasure them, like oral
Do you
sex,
know if
and
it
that
was like?
was. I remember
Do you know if
that.
it was? Do you know if it was like the politician Obama, or was it
Uh
like
huh.
prior to
It looks like
presidency
him.
Obama?
It
It
looks.
just
It
looks
was
like him.
him.
I just didn't know age-wise. I didn't know age-wise where he was at when you ran into him. I didn't know if he
He
was
was
older,
younger,
if he was younger.
younger.
Okay.
Yeah, he had black hair, no gray hair. And he was kind of programmed too because he came over to me and he was like crying because I didn't sing. And I think he knew I was gonna get probably taken, like killed or something, because I wasn't gonna sing. Something with that, I don't know. Something was weird with that whole memory of that. But before, all the kids that were brought in, we all had to um you know, pleasure his friends in the back, and then we all came out. So I guess I didn't want to continue on. I don't know. They didn't regenerate me or nothing like that. I think it just ended. So I don't know what happened. That was just a memory. So I don't know.
What about creatures on Mars? Did you ever end up on the surface of Mars? Were you underground when you were on Mars? And if you were above ground, were there any creatures or even below ground?
I remember being an ant person on Mars several times too, like the living underground as an ant person there, like those like wars going on and stuff like that on the surface. So they was like trying to destroy like a war with the ant people, so it's maybe the reptilian or something like that that was bombing the ant colonies and stuff like that. So I remember like everybody was in a panic trying to take cover and stuff. So I remember that, but I also remember being like a spider too. So like a giant spider. I remember that, but I don't feel like that was a war. It was just a life of that. I can recall
Yeah.
of
No,
being a
I've heard
spider.
people talk about spiders, but they actually refer to them as almost like Arctic spiders. Then they were in like a cold region on Mars. I've heard somebody tell me
Hmm.
about that, and they've told me about a bunch of different different creatures, but they're all from different people. So I like to hear about that. Any are obelisks prevalent on Mars?
I just remember like it looks like kind of like the mountain, like a mountain area, and then the caves where you can go in like that. But it is like the greenery and stuff too, and then some part like a sand area. So maybe like New Mexico, kind of like something with that. With sometimes it's sand, and then sometimes you'll see like a greenery, and then the mountains and stuff like that kind of thing. Or Arizona, something like that. So I kind of remember that.
Do you think
But
you
I
were
do
visiting?
remember. I remember there was a time when I was like a memory of being like a lizard lady, and I was like a soldier, and where I had like a craft that I took the human men soldiers, super soldiers, and I would take them out in the battles, and then I would drop them off, and then it was probably training, and then so they had to. Then there was like something that was eating them, and then they had to make sure they brought everybody back, and don't leave any of them. So I was like really strict with them, like bringing everybody back, even if it's just their parts and stuff. So one time they didn't bring back one of the soldiers who got he was like all broken apart, and then so I kicked them all off of it was like a helicopter craft or something. I kicked them all off and made them walk back to the base. It's like a far walk back, so because they wanted to leave their teammate behind, so I remember doing something like that, and I was like a lizard lady, really tall, and I was like the trainer. I was a trainer for them because I came back and there was like a whole line of soldiers, and they were and I was really, I guess I was in charge there because they was all I was walking around like they was all lined up facing straight, they was all scared, really scared of me and stuff because of how I was brutal with them, how I treated them and stuff. So I remember that.
Um, do you know? Okay, so you were younger when you went, or you were sent there as a child or a teenager, correct?
Where?
To Mars.
No, the missions to Mars are different ages. This is like time travel missions. So there's one where I was like a kind of like a wrestler girl, the WWE kind of girl, muscular, and so but really pretty, and stuff, and really tall. And so she was, I guess, all these they kind of see kind of what the men and women to kind of prefer in this group, so that's what that was created for them as a espionage, so it's like that
Yeah.
honeypot thing. And then another aspect too was created of me that was more like a innocent girl kind of thing too. And then that was where James Rink aspect Dirk was with that one, so she's like,
Because I was trying to
I
figure
was
out when they were sending you to Mars, were you going to what we would consider Mars now, or was it like a previous civilization on Mars? Because you
it's
related it to time
underground.
travel. It was underground,
Yeah, it's in a military base. It was just a time
so
soldier
you couldn't really
mission.
get an aspect of like the
No,
time. Okay.
the building was like 1950s kind of because it was under a dome, and then they just had a false light, like it was daylight all the time, and then so it's like a dome, like you would see, and then so then under there was like the whole base and roads and stuff like that, like a military base, and it looked like the 1950s, kind of like where the jeeps, and then the soldiers were like the brown suits and stuff like that, so it looked like flat top roof and stuff. So I remember all that too. So, and mostly it was the military men that walked by that I would see, because I would have to walk into the room to the person on some of them, and give them information,
Yeah.
as yeah.
So okay, I skipped over this question earlier. Any connection? Because I always try to make this correlation because I hear a lot of people talking about it. The movie Monsters Inc. really creeps me out. And the reason it does
Hmm.
is because the fact that they're using kids and they're trying to harvest this like energy from kids, and that's
Mhm.
why they scare them. And then you can get this energy. What they realize by
Mhm.
the end of the movie is you can get this energy either through scaring them or excitement as well.
Mhm.
And it always
Yeah.
ties me back to the stories I hear about adrenochrome and adrenochrome, however you pronounce it, and this substance that they possibly take from your pineal gland. Did you ever come across anything in these programs that involved stuff like that? When you talked about vampires earlier, it kind of reminded me of that, just like an energy vampire more than anything.
Yeah. They was already like drinking that like wine or something, so maybe they had already drunk that there. I would see like the sacrifices with the kino, then they would go around and drink that the person that was sacrificed, one of the kids there, and they would do that there. But most of the time, um, I don't recall that. I don't see it. Where besides that, there's other times with um I don't remember being at any other ritual besides that one with the kino.
When
Yeah,
you
not in my
saw them
memory.
drink it, when you saw them drink it at those rituals, what did it do to the person that was drinking it?
Mm,
Like,
it seemed like
did it
it
make
kind of
them?
made him more
I didn't know if it was like a
seductive,
drug. Okay, I didn't know if
maybe.
it was like a drug to them or if it had some kind of like youth properties, and that's why they did it. Because you always hear stories about
Kind of
like
makes them switch a little bit, maybe that's when they kind of turned a little bit to their maybe something with that. It might be
their bloodline kind of
something.
shines through a little bit.
Yeah, they become more, I guess, snake or something. I would think like a kind of snake, like something. I say vampire because it's energy because they're kind of the vampires kind of snake like that. You know how they seduce and stuff. So it's kind of like that.
I have like
Yeah.
this weird love hate with the idea of serpents. I don't necessarily think reptilians are bad. I think
Mhm.
so, and yell at me if I'm crazy because so I think there's two lineages that we know of reptilians, and one of them is from the Draco system, and the other one I think of as being a pre-Earth, or well, pre-human civilization that has lived on this planet for longer than we have, almost like Terra type
Mhm.
existence before we got involved, and they kind of think of us as like a nuisance, really, as these things that are destroying their planet. And when we hear stories about the Bible itself, it very much wants you. I think it's describing a battle that happened between beings, and I think sometimes it tries to depict the serpents as sneaky or like a snake in the grass or something like that. And I think it's the idea of that history is written by the winners. So if we know history is written by the winners, they would want to vilify the people that they had a battle with. And I was wondering if we've ever been given the wrong notion about just serpents in general.
Yeah, I mean, cause like with the serpent in the Bible, I think that's referring to like the Kundalini. That part of it. I'm not. I don't um I don't get into the Bible stuff with that part of it, but I know like with the reptilian part of it, I know that there's so many species of reptiles on the planet, so I would think that there's that many different races of reptilians. And then it's not, I mean, some of the bloodlines are going to be, it's not necessarily bad or good, because that's duality. They just are this, and like the Draco, the royal Draco, are, they were going to be different than, the, um, I guess, benevolent, malevolent. You could say that more, I guess, um, there's lots of
And
races of
I
reptilians,
always
though,
thought of like a class system. Well, and I always thought of like a class system as well. Like once you got into the winged Dracos, you were in almost a higher class system, and it was also based on their color as well. Like
or like white.
yes,
Hmm.
white to a darker black almost, and then to
Yeah,
like a fresh behind the ears light green that are new to or
I don't know.
more terraformed. Like,
I don't have as much interaction or memory being with or like reptilian as more of the zetas and mantis. It seems to be more that I've interacted with is the
what are you?
zetas, the
Okay,
grace,
tell me a little
you
bit
know.
about the mantis. I don't know much about the
Mhm.
mantis. People I've heard about them. Tell me what you can.
The mantis is like the there's all different ones too of races of them, so some are just on the ship there, and then they're the ones who control these little robot kind of grays that do the abductions. They're the ones that have no emotion. None of them do have the emotions, like neutral, but the ones that do the abduction that everybody sees, then they'll see the mantis on the ship when they're laying on the table. So that's one of the mantis that some people see. In the abduction though, some people have seen, like I've seen, to where the praying mantis is like a spirit guide. So it's and then I've seen him as a scientist on the ship. So I've visited the ship, and it's something more of like from Antares, or Andromedan. So they're different teachers that I've seen. So I know I've had the abduction and have seen the mantis like in the background. It's like in the back watching while the Greys do the experiment. They're taking the DNA and genetics and all that for the people, but so
Do you
they're
think
like
of
the
the Greys as
conductors.
a? Do you think of the Greys as like a worker race, and then uh,
There's
uh,
so many gray species of the
or like
grays, the
the short Greys? 'Cause
zetas.
I've heard difference about the tall Greys and the tall whites.
Oh,
But I haven't
yeah.
heard anything different really about the smaller Greys. I feel like they're almost like either a clone race or a slave race that is it's kind of just workers.
Hmm.
But I wasn't sure.
Yeah, there's like little, it just depends on probably what they're programmed for. Maybe they're more programmed, then so it's like a hive mind of them that go and do the abduction, and so they operate kind of one mind there, which would be the praying mantis that was controlling them and having them do the whole experiment, of taking the people out, and then if they're just in another dimension or they go up on a ship or however the experience is. But there's so many different gray species, of hybrids of they're from so many because they're humanoid, and then I've heard too, like Bashar, he said about how they lost their compassion and emotion. So they set time to come back to our timeline here. So then that's why they do the abduction experience, the hybridization program with the government, so then they had their own thing going, but then they also took people, and then they made their race, they saved their race for the future because they took the genetics, and then they probably, is how I see it, is they probably kept it safer, so they don't have all this radiation that makes
Yeah.
them, messes them up, so they can't reproduce, so maybe they could at one time, or have more compassion or
Well, I've
something
heard
like that.
compassion, and I've also heard the ability to reproduce, and that's some of the
Mhm.
reason they got into uh, uh, genetic cloning and using
Yeah.
a little bit of themselves to
Mhm.
create offspring. And that's what people talk about when they talk about abduction stories, where like not only will they lose a baby, but they'll even talk about later points where they were brought back and got to meet what they thought, like they had some kind of connection to it, almost like it was a piece of them. And it's almost like, oh, I
Yeah.
wonder if they were using cloning technology or genetic manipulation to have offspring while not being able to reproduce the same way. Because I've almost heard of it as like they want to get to a point of ascension, but yeah, they've gotten to that point where they've lost empathy and emotion,
Mhm.
and they can no longer reach that. So they're almost time traveling back to try to reset the lineage of how it's
Yep.
gotten to now.
Yeah, yeah. So and I think they did that. So a lot of the vaccinations and stuff kind of were an issue as well. With the genetics, like in the future too. So something with that, it seemed like. So maybe maybe some of us came back to and knew not to take some of the vaccinations or some of the things, you know, like we just know not to take it. Like we're really strong about, no, you know, I'm not going to take that, you know. So I don't know. It
Yeah.
seems like some people just know not to take it. So where, but it seemed like after awakening though, there's like some kind of where people woke up to what was in that, and then they knew not to take it. So so that's something too. Because before, a long time ago, I've even taken the flu shot, you know. So
Well,
um,
that has a lot to
you know,
do with so this is something I've, like I said, I've studied religion and studied like cults and stuff like that. And what there's a common thread between all of them. And what they do is they change language, and people pick up on that right away if they change the
hmm
definitions of things. And you use the word vaccine. What a lot of people think of as vaccines are different than we have now. We're not. We're no longer introducing a dead version of the virus into you so you can build proper immunities. What we're trying to do is we're trying to, like, COVID is a great example. It is a spiked protein that's supposed to mimic this virus rather than be a nullified version that you can build immunities to.
hmm
So we're basically redefining the word vaccine, and I was like, that's very much cult-like. We're redefining common words that everybody knew because vaccines were trusted. A lot of people have had
yeah, hmm
vaccines are very beneficial. It helped with polio. There's a reason like we don't
yeah,
have certain things taking over this planet anymore. But then
hmm
when words evolve and people try to manipulate speech, I think it gets a little bit of a gray area, and then people get
yeah.
confused about it. And that's why I think a lot of people don't. Some people didn't look into it enough to figure out what they were doing. But yeah, there was a lot of people that held steady, and you had some people in your chat said knew it in my core, and I was like, I
Oh yeah,
100%
Patricia.
agree.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Patricia was
Yeah.
feeling
Mhm.
it. She knew she
Mhm.
got the same
Mhm.
vibes as a lot of people did.
Yeah. Yeah, that we knew is like a bio weapon, you know, to so with that, yeah. Yeah, so that's what the grays that there's different ones, so like tall grays, medium, you know, so they're all kinds of grays species. Yeah.
Did you okay? So you ran into the mantises and the grays probably the most. She say.
Yeah, with these, and then later, then more when I have been waking up more and more and coming out of all this programming, I've been seeing
Oh,
more of
actually,
the
sorry,
Lyran, my
I didn't
Lyran
mean to interrupt.
aspects.
I didn't mean to
hmm
interrupt, but back to the mantises for a second because you were kind of saying that they were sitting back and watching, and
hmm
it almost like they
hmm
were in command.
Yeah.
Do Are they like watchers? Do they have a lot of involvement? Are they orchestrating things, or is it just like an observatory position?
No, they're orchestrating the robot like grays that they have, that they're under, it's like a hive mind, you know, of them, and then they go in and abduct the person, and then so the it's like the mantis is just in the back, you know, just watching, making like almost like a conductor almost, you know, or something like that, but just observing. So then they will come up to the table though, and I think they do that to almost scare the person too. So they're like scaring them, so they kind of like, I think they might feed off of that too, you know, that energy as well. So some people will see a mantis and they'll get like right in their face too, and that really frightens the person, you know, so they feed off of that as well. So that's like that Monsters Inc., you know, like you're talking about, to feed
Yeah.
off of that fear.
Well, and that's something I've always thought of is like it's almost like they put it in your face with media. It's like we
Mhm.
want to tell you that these things are going on, but we don't want to directly tell you. We want to put it in your mind
Yeah.
that it's possible, but never give you. We'll just do a trickle's worth of information. Like we just recently had uh was it Senate hearings about UFOs? And it's just like, oh come on, we're never gonna hear anything like
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
is actually going on if we're just hearing about UFOs on a public
Mhm.
space. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
They won't. Mhm.
No.
I don't
I
think that they will ever admit to it, because that would. I don't. I don't know if they can actually just say it. You know, like it's. probably in their
Oh, yeah,
whole
they
thing
probably
of
have
never.
treaties.
Yeah,
They probably have
yeah,
treaties and
hmm
pacts with different races. Um,
yeah,
yeah, presidents. I mean, people have talked about presidents having missing time and leaving
yeah.
for a while and almost making treaties like these with different races. And a
And
lot of people explain our abductions on the planet because of stuff like that. Like we almost made a trade.
I feel yeah, that's the Granada Treaty, right? The Granada, not the
Yeah.
Granada Treaty. But I also feel like there's like a like a alien, like a if it was like a gray or whatever it would be, and then they are operating an avatar body, like a piece of their consciousness is in some of these politicians or so, you know, like it's an empty vessel, but they are influencing from afar, you know, so something like that too. So maybe some of them aren't, maybe they're empty vessels and then they have the consciousness of a gray or a reptilian or whatever, you know?
So they can possess another vessel. They don't even have to be in their original form. Can they just
No,
keep
they
having
can. It's the
vessels?
immersion. It's the immersion program. It's immersion pods that they would just operate. It's like a pod that they just kind of stay in a stasis state. And the ET, the whatever it is, it can be any of us. We could do this and experience any. We could create an avatar body, an empty vessel, and then just project our consciousness, a fractal of us, into these different versions wherever we wanted to experience that reality, and then just live however long a full life, or just to intervene into this, or even take over a whole group of people and just to do something, and then they leave, you know. So yeah,
Because
they can do that.
I've always been really interested in astral projection, and I've dabbled in it a little bit. I'm pretty sure I have the ability to, um, and I always wonder if I'm leaving my vessel open when I go elsewhere sometimes, and I worry that it's up for the
Oh
taking,
yeah.
or if there's a thread that brings me back. Like I just think of like a long string running to me
Mhm.
when I'm somewhere else, and I wonder if I feel like a vibration when there's something going on and it snaps me back, or if I'm just too
Mhm.
open sometimes.
Yeah, I think just you have to really be cautious about that, you know? Um,
Yeah,
I don't know how to say or warn or say it happens or doesn't, you know, because it's your own experience, you know?
yeah,
So, yeah, I would do
yeah.
it. I wouldn't want to do it all the time because then you'd be leaving your body open. So maybe just if you do it like and you're protecting yourself, whatever. I don't know how. I don't ever astral project, so I don't really. I know I'm utilized as like my like when I sleep, and then it's like other aspects of me are working in the astral, you know. But I don't, because I don't recall ever astral projecting like that and coming back, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So you were getting ready to tell me about some of the other beings that you met after the Greys and
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah,
Mantis.
so like as I've healed and stuff, all these all throughout seeing all the trauma of the, you know, Montauk of the dark things like that, then I've come to see more of the Lyran aspects of me, you know, the lion and tigress, and just kind of the higher beings, you know, higher vibrational beings. You know, because the Lyrans had the war with the Draco, you know, so that's so but that's what I was saying. I'm more of the lion, the Lyran, and from Irma, and from and I know I have lion aspects and then mantis aspects. I know I have all of them probably too. I mean, because I've been like the reptilian too. So
Yeah, I've heard
yeah.
there's like
Mhm.
there's 13 different bloodlines that I think of, and I've heard a lot of people reference, and yeah, they talk about having Lyrian blood
Mhm.
or Draconian blood, and
Yeah.
some people even tie Draconian into like a dragon as well.
Oh
Like it's
yeah, I
not
have dragon.
necessarily separate.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've had dragon, but they're more of um it's more like but close to source, is how I kind of see it. Maybe like something with that. It's like, and if I would say like angelic or something, not angelic, it's higher than that, you know, but it's like that kind of a dragon, something like that. Yeah.
Well, I want to leave a few people on the hook for more stories about into your projects, because I want to have you on again. I love talking about this stuff.
Mhm.
I overwhelmingly get like crazy conversations where I could ask you 300 questions about a lot of these programs and what you've been involved in, but I also
Mhm.
want to talk about some of the work that you're doing currently. Um,
Yeah.
you're doing readings for people, and I've seen a few of them.
Yeah.
What
I
what
do.
what what goes with your readings, and what are kind of some of the things that you're able to show people or help them with?
Um, I made my own card decks, you know, out of the note cards, out of just tuning into my own experiences, and I draw on some of them. I put light language on some of them too, just to help, like, you know, like the light language and stuff, or and then messages. So I do these readings, and they're an hour, and they're on Zoom, and I just my goal is to try to help people find more information that they're seeking. They can ask me any questions they want, but I can do the card reading like this. We can search for more information, or they can just ask me questions too, and I can try to tune in to look for them too, because I can see kind of I can follow the energy of what they're asking me to and help them piece together like the soul retrieval, like that kind of thing too. Or and I can do Karuna Reiki during, I kind of do that naturally during the sessions. So they, you know, people kind of, it's for healing. And, you know, the goal is to try to help people with their healing and stuff like that too. Cause I can talk about any of these now and it doesn't affect me, you know, so people can ask me any question, um, and I'm not affected or nothing. And I do the light language artwork too. So I'm kind of doing all kinds of stuff, and I have my books on Amazon. My art, some of my artwork is all in 72 pages, and there's 16 books on Amazon of all different ETs and light language there. And then my Electra books, you know, they're on. I don't know if you can see that.
No,
Probably not.
it's drifting in. Is it blue?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got
Yeah,
blue in
so
it.
it's
Yeah,
like
now I see
that.
it. There you go.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so there's 3 of these on Amazon. Electra, this one's the second one, Montauk, and then there's the MILAB uh is the third one, and then the first one is the Time Soldier, you know, so it's like Time Soldier. I mean Warrior Ledger.
Okay.
Time Soldier is
That's the one with
is the
the
third one.
circle in the background, right? I thought,
Yes.
is
Yes.
that supposed to be a portal for like for the time
It's like
soldier?
she's yeah, because this is Time Soldier here, the Montauk Time Soldier. And
Okay.
then the third one is they're not in any order. This not like you have to follow. You can buy any of them, you know, like that, but they just go into more detail. Like the Montauk is going to talk about my experiences with Montauk and then time travel missions, and I put pictures and stuff so you can kind of see some of the things in my drawings as well. And then on the My Lab one, then I put the 20 and back with the George Bush Sr. in there. I describe in detail from when I first got to the 20 and back, when I first got to the abandoned military base. I mean, abandoned psychiatric ward there. It's like um, he, they, I was abducted, taken over like in another timeline, you know, and then put back like that. So then this version of me over here is living out this 20 years, you know, as from age 5 all the way, you know, till he took me to Mars. And like I could still be there on Mars because he has me programming and creating clone. It's like that's all I do is make these different, and it's like people order these clone these bodies of things. Like it would be like 100 bodies of Britney Spears or something like that kind of a thing, where people would put in these orders, and then I would be making them and programming them to whatever they wanted her to be, you know, or however. So that's
Okay.
something I'm doing as
So
well.
So you said you needed, well, I assume for the ones that you charge for those readings, those ones go for about an hour, you said?
Yeah, they're
Well,
$44 is what I charge.
oh, okay. And
Mhm.
then I was going to ask, because we talked about it a little bit offline. Is there any way that you could give me like a shortened version of it to kind of help me understand it, just with the little bit that we've talked, or would we need more time?
No, I can pull some cards for you and stuff. That's okay too. So,
Because
like you
I often get tarot readings and stuff like that, and I'm very interested in uh,
and how
getting
this
tarot
is.
cards pulled for me. So yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like to see
because this is more messages, like I would say more of a oracle almost,
like
and
affirmations and
they're like you've been abducted, kind of thing,
oh,
or
okay,
they'll show you like ET aspects, let me shuffle them here. Yeah, so it's gonna have all different kinds of, and I made my own card deck too, but I don't sell it. I just use it for doing the readings.
okay,
So yeah. Yeah, I just kinda um I don't know. Because then I have to go. I don't need to explain it like in detail of what it is. I just know the name of it. Like with that, I put like green goo on there. Kind of feel like you need one of those that I made there because it's more of a um in the programs. That green goo is like, I don't know if you have like a memory of being like in the Marvel characters like the Hulk. Do you have any kind of memory of that being like a regular person and then they enhance you with like, I think it's like the green goo, and then you Hulk out. Do you remember anything with that? With it, like just like the Marvel character, so it wouldn't be necessarily negative. You might be doing to go because of maybe go fighting zombies or something. Like the program.
yeah.
Do
No,
you
I
remember
don't have,
anything
like
with
I
that?
said, I don't have any connections to the program, and I haven't heard anybody say anything. The only people I've heard of talk about Hulks, I've heard not Susan, but is it Bateri? I don't know
Uh
how to
huh.
remember how to
Yeah, Veronica.
pronounce Veronica. Yeah,
Veronica. Hmm.
Veronica talked to me about being a She-Hulk. That's
Hmm.
the only thing in my mind that comes to that. I haven't
Yeah,
actually heard of the
they have
term
the
very
Hulk
much.
program where it's
Okay.
like green goo is injected, just like Captain America, how they have that where it gets larger, but
Yeah.
so something like that. So this is what I kind of do. I just draw the cards. It usually lasts. I usually pull um quite a few more and stuff like that too, so we can have a lot more to talk about with the information. So this is going
Yeah.
to be some of the cards here. I guess I'll probably hold it like this in front of me so you can see it. Can you see it okay with this, like this way?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I can see
So
it.
it's a praying mantis with some light language. And then so the being, I draw the being, and then it's like a download of that information really fast. So that's their message. And then it's, universal language. So that's not like it's saying it's gonna be whatever it means to you or energy, to assist you. Well, this is if you're an advanced psychic. I
Okay.
usually don't have this blue screen behind me, so
Oh no, no,
see,
you're
I
fine. I
did
can
that.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, the advanced psychic. Um, this says Leo, so I don't know. Are you a Leo or
I don't know what I
anybody
am.
that you know?
I think I'm Sagittarius, maybe. I
What's
don't
your
know.
birthday? What's your birthday?
December 15th.
Okay, yeah, that's Sagittarius. So the fire element, it could mean maybe somebody is a Leo or just fire. Sometimes that. So the ghost
Ghost
whisperer.
Whisperer.
So this is gonna be where.
That one's a
Mhm.
little bit of a messy one for me. Yeah, that's
Yeah, to where you would be able to see and hear, feel.
oh yeah, no, I've had full
Mhm.
conversations with spirits. Yeah,
Mhm.
on a regular basis. Yeah, I had to stop doing that.
Mhm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I probably haven't told you this. I recently decided to sober up to the sense that I'm not drinking as much alcohol. I used to drink every day, and
Mm.
I was doing it to numb some of it's a lot of things. I think I was just trying to numb a lot of things. and yeah, that was one that probably triggered me to start drinking. I used to dabble
Oh.
with spirit boards a lot,
Mhm.
and I have
Yeah.
this really strange connection where I can actually hover my hand over the pendulum, and it would
Yeah.
move without me touching it.
Mhm. I can see
And
that.
I would have
Mhm.
full conversation. I had a conversation with what I would think of as the Grim Reaper, and
Yeah.
he warned me and my friend about death. And then on Christmas Eve, my best friend actually ended up getting in a car accident, and a person lost their life. And we were warned about it prior to that. And
Oh.
I've had all kinds of crazy experiences when it comes to spirit
Spirit
boards.
boards. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's like it's a the doorway and stuff like that to the different realms, and it's kind of you don't even know who it's going to be sometimes, but this it goes deep. There's lots of, I mean, it can be used. I think it could be. I'm not sure if it could be used for good or I'm not sure if I'm guessing it could be good. I haven't messed with it. I was there when the person did it, and then um I was laying in the floor, and then I felt the energy like come up over the ceiling, like darkness. So I turned around and I was like, "What is going on?" And he was scared. His eyes was like terrified. And so he put it up after that. So it's something that's kind of scary in my experience.
yeah. No, and I've
Yeah.
heard some of the worst stories, and I've heard some of the best stories, and that's
Yeah.
why I started out using Ouija boards, and then I was like,
Mhm.
no, 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 let's not do that. We're not going to use something that just comes with notations around it, basically. And then so I started creating boards of my own, and
Oh, okay.
knowing that names are powerful, and I could put names on there and make it so certain people couldn't present themselves. I'll have to talk to you about this sometime because, yeah, I've had some wild, wild experiences, and
Mhm.
it's mainly because I have a family now, and that's why I put down
Yeah.
spirit boards in general,
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
don't want to expose the people around me to that
Mhm.
kind of stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, because it just is they'll just see him walking down the hallways and stuff, like those TV shows how they have the dead files, or the haunting, a haunting that show too
Yeah.
is I
Well,
like
and I don't
I like
always know
those.
what the energies are that I'm talking to. Like,
Mhm.
I know there's a lot of tricksters out there that would want you to think that you're talking to a
Yeah.
loved one or something like
Yep.
that. It's just like,
Nope.
yeah, there's a lot of disconnect. There's a lot of
Yeah.
disconnect, and you never fully know
Mm-mm.
because,
It's
yeah, that's why
tricksters.
a lot of tricksters.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, sorry that the Ghost Whisperer one kind of got to me. That
Yep.
one, I don't talk about it. Every once in a while. I guess they'll get me to dive into stuff like that, but I don't really talk about it that much.
Mhm.
Every once in a while.
And then next one is rock collector. Let's see if so rock collector.
You're messing with me right now.
No, I'm not. Can you see
No,
better if I turn off the light? Can you see better if I turn the light off or
no, no,
no?
no. I can see it. I can see it good.
Okay.
I
Mhm.
Yeah. So behind me on the table, there's probably 60 rocks
Oh, okay.
from all over the country, and yeah, no, it's really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of a random one, and I actually just got into this a little bit more recently. A friend in the chat, Stone Wolf Outdoors, he does a lot of different crafting and stuff like that, and it actually got me into searching for more rocks, and I started like cutting them and polishing them, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm constantly going and looking for rocks now. I'm a
Mhm. I
I'm a
do the
weird
same.
I'm that
No,
weirdo.
I am too. I love to do that. I bought some today at the I have them everywhere. I go to the crystal mine in Arkansas and do that and go to rivers and just get because I'll sometimes do my drawings on the rocks too. So if it's like a flat surface or however. So I
Yeah.
love rocks too. So this is one. This is Badger, the um I don't know. It's hard to see here. Badger, it's like the totem, animal totem, the badger.
Okay.
So you might look up that and see what the medicine is, the animal medicine is. Oh, and then you
Okay.
got a rabbit. So animals wanted to work with you. So you might look those up and see what their properties are or their meaning, a spiritual
I
meaning
used
is?
to I used to have a rabbit. He just passed away recently. I
Oh,
had a
okay.
rabbit for a while. He was a
Mm-hmm.
larger rabbit, and I went on a trip to Florida, and I came back, and he had passed away. And
Oh,
yeah, no, just went to sleep one day. But yeah, he used to be a regular guest on my show. I used to pull him out. He'd be sitting on my lap, and nice
oh,
big old friendly rabbit.
yeah. Okay, and then so that's a praying mantis here, and then the light language. Can you see?
And
I
what's the
can
difference?
take a
Yeah,
picture too.
what's the difference between that one and the first mantis one?
This their
Besides, like
energy
he's filled.
signature,
Okay,
like their
and he's
energy
filled in a lot
signature.
more.
Yeah, because he's kind of more like feels like more playful in a way too,
Yeah.
and the language feels kind of more lighter too, so you can kind of feel a difference. And then so that's what it is, and um oh, it says open up for more communication from who, if it's your guides or higher self or however it is, from for more communication from ET guides or whatever you're seeking. Oh, this says love yourself first. Love yourself first. Can you see it, or am I just holding up a
I
white
can't see
card?
that. No, now I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Love
When they're
yourself
next
first.
to your face, it picks them up more.
Okay,
Yep.
like here.
Now I can see it.
What's that say?
What is it? Mental what?
Mental power. You got mental power, like psionic power. Mental power. So, and it would. I mean, this one, like where you could, maybe that's why you wanted to numb stuff out too. With that before, because you could, when you're doing that with your hand, that's mental power. Where you're able to move it with your hand, your psionic power.
Yeah, I think I have a strange intuition when it comes to things, and that's usually what I try to numb. And I notice it more, and I think women are way better at this. They have a higher sense of intuition than men do. And for me, sometimes I would have to do extracurriculars,
Oh,
hallucinogens specifically, and it used to bring me to these points. And I never felt like I was unsafe in any of these points, but it was always I could read people's energy. I could tell if they had bad energy in them
mm-hmm.
at the time, and I could help them make it like it. It was weird. I almost felt like I don't know, like a vague term for it is like a trip sitter, but I almost felt
Mm,
like I could look at somebody and know exactly where they are in their experience at that time. And I'm like, oh,
wow.
okay. It's really strange. And I can only like lift that veil at certain occasions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're doing maybe THC or something like that, is that right? Or whatever, huh? Like in a something. So
Yeah.
this is hard to see, but this like those triangle headed beings, So
Okay.
they're kind of gonna be more higher dimensional because of the color too, with that
Brightness.
yellow and sun, kind of like the sun, like the light. Like they're kind of more plasma beings too, These triangle headed. So they're kind of plasma light. They seem like childlike almost. Oh, this says
I appreciate you doing this for me.
yeah, thank you for letting me do
Yeah.
this. So this says, can you see that? It says like a
Butterfly.
butterfly transformation. So you transformation. So going through transformation, like you said, with stopping the drinking or whatever too, that helps you grow in a new way, you know? Yep. God, you got a lot of praying mantis here.
A lot of mantis energy coming in.
Different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they're your more play. They feel this one feels kind of playful too, like he's peeking around the corner. Playfulness though, like
Yeah.
playing.
I already like him because he had a pink shirt on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This says the secret space program. So you know, so I mean, I know you are in it because you resonate with it. You just it's like finding the memories and then like it's hard to piece them all together, so you kind of don't know for sure if he was in it, like I don't know. I don't know. I have some memory. I think I might, but I see flashes of things, or I see this, or I have interest, so you know what I mean. So
So does it help you to like document all these things when they come to you? Do you have like a journal for it, or
oh no,
what do you do to
no, I
when it
just
comes
help.
to you?
Like when I'm doing the reading.
No, when you're when these memories are coming to surface for you in these programs,
Oh,
stuff like that, like
yeah.
do you have a way of documenting it for yourself where
Yeah, I'll usually write it all down. I'll get my journal notebook pad, and just try to write down what I see, and then maybe try to, if I get any visions of stuff, or try to describe the vision of where it was, and if I see anyone in there, and then I try to compare if I seen someone there in the experience, and I ask them if they have any recall, which most people don't remember, because it's not their experience. You know what I mean? So it's maybe another version of them that I'm seeing. So they might not know even that person exists. But some people will remember, or they can just see what I'm saying, and they can tune into it. Um, so it's kind of, so I usually share if I see someone, not all the time, because if I don't really know them, if I don't know the person that well, then I don't really, but I'll write it down, So I will write it down if I were you. So this says, I got another one that says psychic powers.
okay.
Yeah. So I can see you as like a remote viewer, So I feel like you'd be really good at remote viewing. Like I can see you at a table doing the remote viewing, with like military, with the military men part, and then even um finding targets that way, through the remote viewing. Then your mind is wiped after, so that might be a reason why you don't have those memories, because they wipe your mind after each time you are sent out on to have a target, whatever that is to do, you know. And I see that with the military part with you. I even find it like you on Mars doing that too. So I think maybe you might even, I don't know if you traveled there or you work there and were a remote viewer there too, but doing the remote viewing and then also flying a helicopter. I see like flying with your mind though, like that helicopter thing, but it's like flying. So like flying a plane too. I see that with you, like a pilot, as in a regular plane too. So it might be other timelines where there's a plane, like the lifetimes where you're a pilot.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and then, but yeah, definitely the remote viewer, and also teaching that too. So I think you're really good at remote viewing. There's different ways, methods of remote viewing too. It's not just like find the number and the target, because I can't find this number. That's really difficult. So there's other ways where you can go into the image, or they give you some, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you
usually they
could go
give you
in.
yeah, I've actually studied a lot of people that were really good at it. Like Joseph McMoneagle and a couple other people that were used in CIA programs just for
Mhm.
this. And the success rate on it was really high. And
Yeah.
Joseph McMoneagle was actually one of their best uh, pupils, and he ended up being a teacher as well as I can't think of the gentleman's name. He opened his own school as well for doing it, and I
Ingo
can't remember
Swan or
his name.
something.
Ingo Swan, yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And yeah, their success rate was absolutely insane.
Mhm.
It wasn't something random. And but my interest when it comes to remote viewing are like places and events. Like there's something that always draws me to like the fall of Atlantis,
Mhm.
the peak of civilization on Mars, and like there's always weird ones where I want to see, because I always feel like we get little bits of truth, and I'm like that those are the events if I wish I could go back to them and see them, or to them in the future. Maybe it's a
Mhm.
maybe the Atlantis thing is a future prediction. I don't really know. I
Mhm.
just know that I don't know. There's something about remote viewing that I've a really high interest in,
Mhm.
and I've noticed this like strange crossover with remote viewing because I studied Scientology for a while, and its founder L. Ron Hubbard, he was into past life regression therapy, and
Uh-huh.
he used to travel around with Aleister Crowley, and they used to do these rituals where they were trying to figure out past lives. They were also remote viewing and taking psychedelics and doing a lot of different things. Crowley got into some darker things because I think he just wanted proof. But yeah, it got really convoluted, and it was interesting because Joseph McMoneagle was also a Scientologist, and he was actually feeding all of this information back to Scientology when he was working for the CIA.
Oh,
And
okay.
he complements the tools that he learned in Scientology as the way he learned how to remote view.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, interesting. Like
Yeah, that's why you like
these
it.
weird crossovers
Mm-hmm.
where I don't understand the connections with it, but there's always seems to be some overlap.
Seems like, because I can see you sitting like in one of those time travel chairs, like the navigator, the little boy, the navigator kid, so I can like a ship that's like a navigation ship, so flying a ship with your mind,
Yeah, I was
just
thinking
a
like
little
drones when
pod.
you said that, like sitting back with like something that flips over your head, and it's almost like drone technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see you sitting there like just like you're playing a video game too. So I think they would have like the holographic realities too, where you could really like a whole bunch of people. Maybe I know that there's where people are taken to different places and they're all put into a holographic reality, like the glasses, and then so they give them a program to all follow, so I can see you doing those kinds of things too, where you would be used in, but it's like another reality that's created too. Like they're creating these realities through those, through the mental projections, like, because you're seeing it, you're living it, and it's like making it or creating that reality or something. So, um, I'm thinking of something like where a version of you, uh,
Like the
just to say,
almost like of the Montauk chair, like how they were actually able to
it's
uh
like you're playing a
bring
video
things to
game with the,
existence.
well, this is like if you're playing like a virtual reality game, and you're seeing it all like it's really real for you in this, in with the more higher tech thing on, and then so you're creating this reality that they're telling you. So it's maybe like a group of people, and then they have them thinking of this one place or doing something, and then creating that reality. And then I think that they would project or have these people go and live in that reality over there. So maybe they're abducting or doing something with your something with your brain or your something like that too, to where they could maybe clone you in that reality and you live in that one now too. So
The
something.
world I describe the world that we live in an interesting way, and it just reminded me of it when you said that. Um, I often think it's very likely that we're just Sims playing Sims
Mhm.
on multiple levels down, and I often wonder if we're in the base reality or how far off we are from the base reality. When you said that, yeah, it just reminded me of like almost an Inception type thing of like bringing these places forth and putting people in it to live out an experience
Mhm.
just to get to observe what happens.
Yeah. And then it's like a, then that when the clone is almost like the avatar too, like the avatar would be created in that, and then after that person of you dies, then it just all the memories return to you. So it's like the Avatar movie too, and that's the immersion where it's like the Avatar movie where he's laying in there, and then an avatar body is created, and he's projecting his consciousness into that avatar body, living out this whole reality, whatever, and then it returns back, or however long, the mission is.
Yeah.
hmm
Well,
So
what do you
there's a
think?
few more here. Few more.
Okay.
There's some light language here. Can you see kind of that? I'll take a
Yeah, I can
picture
see
of
a little
these so
bit.
you can
But
see.
yeah,
And then a weasel. A weasel totem is like royalty, Weasel.
okay.
Yeah. And then Sirius C. So Sirius
Sirius
C is
C. Where's
something.
Sirius T located?
So A, B,
Where's
and C, and then so C, uh, it might be some more the Anunnaki or something like that. I have to look and see on there too. I think it was like Anunnaki, but that's B too. So I think they all kind of ran together. And then Sirius C might have. I think Sirius C was one that was blown up by the Draco. And then so all of them went to different places too. So I'll look into Sirius C. I wrote that for a
Okay.
reason. And then this says childhood trauma. So I don't know if that's in this life or
Another.
another. So you would be in the programs that you would have the disassociation disorder, if you had that childhood trauma, if that happened, because your mind would create an alter that would be able to handle the experience, the trauma, because it's too much for the kid to handle, so they disassociate from that experience. Yeah, because it's too much for them, like how they abuse the children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
No,
all.
I appreciate that. There was a lot of
Yeah,
them that.
it's usually longer than that, and
Yeah.
then
No,
just
I would
went
assume
into
so.
detail.
And I
Yeah,
was just wondering
yeah.
if you got anything off of us talking or how that worked out. Yeah, that was interesting. I appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I also appreciate coming on tonight. We already did 2 hours.
Oh, okay. That went by
I
pretty
would like to
fast
do.
though,
Yeah, time
That really
flies.
did.
Um, yeah, I would love to have you on again.
Okay.
We can dive a little bit deeper and go into some more programs, maybe talk about your books a little bit more.
Okay.
Like I said, for anybody watching, in the descriptions on my video, on my main YouTube channel, you guys can see all of Christy's information. And I think I have it on both YouTube channels. So you guys
Yeah,
should be able to
my
find her. You can see
email.
her.
Mhm. My
Yeah.
YouTube channel is linked to here, and then my email, christy.campbell.11@gmail.com. And then, or you can just contact me on YouTube or however, on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So I have all of the places, to be contacted. And just tell me that you want to book a reading if you want to do something like that. Like it's an hour over Zoom and it's $44. So I do that.
Okay, that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty
Mhm.
good deal for an
Yeah.
hour's worth of work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon because
Okay.
when you brought up the ghost whisperer thing, that we have some stuff to talk about now. that
Okay.
you brought some stuff up in me that I wanted to talk about now, and
Mhm.
yeah, but I appreciate it so much,
Thank
and
you for having me on. Mhm.
oh yeah, anytime.
And
You're
thank
always
you to
welcome.
your audience too.
Oh yeah, thanks everybody for
Mhm.
participating, and thanks everybody over on Christy's channel that joined us over here tonight as well. So, thank you very much. You have a good rest of your night, and everybody watching, you guys have a good night as well.